Will each control 5 minutes. Gentleman from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield myself 3 minutes.
Nice.
Mr. Chairman, I rise today to urge my colleagues to support a very important amendment to H.R. 1429, and I want to commend Mr. Kildee, Mr. Miller, Mr. McKeon, and the others who have worked so hard on this important bill. Head Start is a tremendously important program in the early childhood education continuum, but it's also desperately in need of reforms. As we all know, the purpose of Head Start is to help disadvantaged children be better prepared to enter school. But we are doing those children an enormous disservice and squandering taxpayer dollars if we do not hold the providers of Head Start services to a higher level of accountability. The existing language in 1429 allows for automatic 5-year renewal of applications. Automatic renewal if they simply meet minimum standards to the satisfaction of the review panel. Providers that don't meet the standards must enter into open competition for acceptance of their applications. I would respectfully submit this does not go far enough. For the sake of ensuring the programs are performing better than minimal or better than good enough, and as a safeguard for the taxpayers who foot the bill, I believe we should require that all Head Start providers face open competition. Such competition will encourage a higher level of performance and serve as a check on unscrupulous practices. Mr. Speaker, I'm very familiar, unfortunately, with what can happen when a provider is allowed to skate through without the discipline that comes from competition. In my own district, the Polk County Opportunity Council became a poster child for mismanagement and abuse since its dealings first became public in 2003, which actually had followed a probationary status just several years before. Years of investigation have revealed breathtaking examples of malfeasance and mendacity. There's been everything from sweetheart deals involving the purchase of office equipment to claims for non-existent hurricane damage, essentially amounting to insurance fraud. At one point, the PCOC even fabricated a false certificate of compliance from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which it tried to use to short-circuit other investigations of its misdealings. It took 3 years to defund that agency, and the entire appeals process along the way, this only applies to the Head Start program, the entire appeals process was paid for not by the agency, not by the grantee, but by the taxpayers. The taxpayers pay the bill for them to appeal mismanaging the taxpayers' dollars. Competition, I believe, and open competition would go a long way towards solving that problem. The effect of these abuses not only squandered taxpayer dollars, but it diverted resources from some of the neediest and most deserving members of our community. That's an outrage. We must expect better, and we must do better. We cannot allow these types of abuses to become the norm. We should not maintain a system that simply continues the status quo. Let's expect providers of Head Start programs to compete with other potential providers. Yield myself an additional 30 seconds.
Gentleman's recognized.
To compete with the other potential providers, which today, unlike during the creation of Head Start, today there are a number of state and local governments and private entities that can provide that service. Then we will truly be giving these needy children the Head Start they deserve. I urge my colleagues to support the amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. For purposes, the gentleman from Michigan rise.
To oppose the amendment.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
The